Greetings, my friend. Today we're going to talk about an important yet often misunderstood topic: vitamin D deficiency. With the rise of IT professionals and the jobs that span around the clock, especially in the countries like India, many individuals, including myself, as someone who works night shift, have vitamin D deficiency. The common advice is to get sun exposure between 5 to 7 a.m. or 3 to 5 p.m. But is there any scientific backing to the specific time frame? We will debunk this popular misconception and delve deeper into how vitamin D is produced by our body and explore the optimum way and the best time to get your daily dose of the sunshine vitamin. So let's get started. Vitamin D is vital for our survival. It helps our body absorb calcium, keeping our bones strong and our immune system robust. From healthy bones to preventing various conditions like rickets, muscle weakness, balance issues, and immune system dysfunctions. Did you know our body can produce vitamin D all on its own? All it needs is a little bit of help from the sun. Here's how it works. When the sun's UVB rays hit our skin, they kickstart a process that turns a type of cholesterol in our skin into vitamin D3. Pretty cool, right? This vitamin D3 then travels to our liver and kidneys, where it's converted into the active form of vitamin D that our body can use. The best time to soak up some vitamin D is actually around midday, when the sun is at the highest, and that's when the UVB rays are the strongest, and your body can make the most vitamin D in the shortest amount of time. I know you're busy, my friend, so here's the quick essence of the video. For the best time to get the maximum vitamin D, it's the midday from 10:30 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you want to learn more, please stay with me. Otherwise, I really appreciate if you're taking time, and that's all the video had to cover in terms of the time, and I really appreciate your support. And if you want to learn more, let's dive into the technicals. Let's understand what UVB is. UVB stands for ultraviolet B radiation, a type of ultraviolet light from the sun. The B in UVB indicates a specific band within the ultraviolet spectrum. Each type of UV radiations has different effects on the skin and overall health. Key points about UVB. Spectrum. UVB radiation has a wavelength range of 280 to 350 nanometers. Skin penetration. UVB penetrates the upper layer of the skin, which is the epidermis, and is responsible for causing sunburns. It plays a crucial role in the synthesis of vitamin D. When UVB rays strike the skin, they convert a chemical in the skin, 7-dehydrocholesterol, into vitamin D3, cholecalciferol. This D3 is then transported by the bloodstream to the liver, where it's converted into calcidiol, which is 25-hydroxyvitamin D. The kidneys then activate calcidiol into calcitriol, 1,2,5-trioxyvitamin D. In the early mornings or the late afternoon, the sun is lower and its rays pass through more of the Earth's atmosphere, meaning fewer UVB rays reach us. Around midday, the sun's rays are more direct, giving you a better dose of UVB rays. For most people, short periods of sun exposure, typically around 10 to 30 minutes a few times a week, on the face, legs, or arms without sunscreen are usually sufficient to maintain healthy vitamin D levels. Here are some key factors to consider: duration and frequency. It could be 10 to 30 minutes. The exact time required can vary based on several factors such as skin type, age, geographic location, and the time of the year. Consistency is the key. Regular, brief exposure are more effective than infrequent, prolonged ones. The areas of exposure: face, arms, and legs. These are typically the areas most easily exposed to sunlight and sufficient for vitamin D synthesis. The larger the area of skin exposed, the shorter the duration needed. Without sunscreen. Sunscreens block UVB rays, which are necessary for vitamin D production. It is recommended to have a short, unprotected exposure initially and then apply the sunscreen if you plan to stay outdoor longer. Factors affecting synthesis. Skin type: lighter skin. People with lighter skin have less melanin, which allows more UVB rays to penetrate the skin and produce vitamin D more quickly. They may need less sun exposure to produce sufficient vitamin D. Darker skin. People with darker skin may have more melanin, which provides greater protection against UV radiation, but also reduce the skin's ability to produce vitamin D. They might require longer sun exposure to achieve the same vitamin D levels. Next is location. Proximity to the equator. UVB rays are more intense closer to the equator due to the sun's higher position in the sky year-round. This results in a more efficient vitamin D synthesis with shorter exposure times. Closer to the equator, UVB rays are stronger year-round, which means countries like India, Kenya, Indonesia, and Brazil have higher UVB intensity. This results in more efficient vitamin D synthesis with shorter exposure times. For example, people in India or Kenya might need less sun exposure to produce adequate vitamin D compared to those in higher latitudes, far from the equator. In higher latitudes such as Canada, Russia, Sweden, the United States, especially the northern regions, and Iceland, the sun rays are less intense, especially during the winter months. This makes vitamin D synthesis slower and less efficient. People in these countries might need longer sun exposure or dietary supplementation to maintain healthy vitamin D levels. For example, a residents in northern part of the US or Canada might require more sun exposure or vitamin D supplements compared to those living closer to the equator. Next is season. Summer. UVB rays are strongest during the summer months, making it easier to produce vitamin D with shorter exposure. Winter. In higher latitudes, the sun rays are often too weak during the winter to produce significant amount of vitamin D. Even with prolonged exposure, during these months, supplementation or a dietary source of vitamin D might be necessary. Now let's talk about safety. Start with short, unprotected exposure to boost vitamin D production. Prolonged exposure. After the initial few minutes, it's crucial to protect your skin from the harmful effects of prolonged UV exposure. This includes using sunscreen with the appropriate SPF, wearing protective clothing, and seeking shade. Avoiding peak hours, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. While this period is optimal for vitamin D synthesis, it is also when UV rays are the strongest and the risk of skin damage is the highest. Limit direct sun exposure during these hours, especially for extended periods. Next is skin cancer risk. Overexposure to UV rays. Prolonged and unprotected exposure to UV rays can increase the risk of skin cancer, including melanoma. Always practice sun safety to reduce this risk. By understanding and balancing these factors, you can optimize your sun exposure to maintain a healthy vitamin D levels while protecting your skin from potential damage. Remember, my friend, this is general guidelines. It is always best to consult a doctor for personalized advice based on your skin type, location, and overall health. Sun safety is a key. If you're going to be out in the sun for longer, make sure to use sunscreen with SPF 30 or higher and broad spectrum protection. Wear protective clothing like hat and sunglasses to shield your skin further. And remember, shade is your friend too. Right? Take breaks in the shade, especially during the peak sun hours during 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. If you can't get enough sun exposure, you can also get vitamin D from diet. Fatty fish like salmon, tuna are excellent sources. Fortified foods like milk, cereals, and orange juice can also help. Vitamin D supplements are another option, but again, talk to your doctor before starting any new supplement. And for those of us in IT or desk jobs, if you have been experiencing back pain or joint pain, it could be related to low vitamin D levels. Many doctors find that a deficiency in vitamin D can contribute to these type of pains. So, getting enough of the sunshine vitamin is important, far more than just your bones. It can help alleviate some of that discomfort too. So there you have it. The midday sun around 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. is your best friend when it comes to making vitamin D. Just a little bit of sunshine can go a long way. If you like the content I'm covering, my friend, I'll really appreciate if you could consider subscribing. And my wish for you is for you to live healthy and live a long, fulfilling life. And take care. A random shout out to our community members to show my appreciation for your support. Thank you. We chase the sun, not just for the warmth, but for a reminder that even in the artificial glow of our screens, there is a primal need for the natural world. A reminder that, like the measured dance between sun exposure and protection, life itself is about finding your balance. Embrace the light, but remember the shadows it casts, for it's in that interplay that we find true vitality. So go forth and bask in the sunlight, for in its glow we find a reminder of our own resilience and the beauty of being alive. Take care, my friend.